All right, welcome again to each and every one of you who have joined us today. Thank you all again for taking time to join us for the webinar today. I hope the webinar is going to be a lot of useful insights for you, especially if you're a very new trader. I'm going to keep everything to the most basics, and even if we go through the advanced session, I will make sure that I will explain it to you as simple as possible. And the aim and the goal of today is for you all to understand a very good understanding about technical analysis and how technical analysis would help you determine and make decisions in terms of investments and in trading. Before we go ahead and start, I have a poll question for each one of you who have come online today, just so that I have a better understanding of what your level of experience in trading is. So if you all can take the next 1 or 2 minutes just to answer these poll questions, that would be great. And that would also help me teach you all based on the experience each one of you all have. And you should be able to see the poll questions right now on your screen. All right, that was a very quick poll. Pretty much everybody answered instantly, and most of you all have told that you're at the beginner stage. Some of you all, okay, now I'm still getting some more answers. Okay, I'll just wait for another 20 or 30 seconds more. All right, so it looks like we have about 70% who has joined us today as completely beginners, and we have the other 30 to 40% who are intermediate. So, which is good. I'm going to be covering from the most basics, but I will not dive too much into detail. But then I will try my best to explain as much as possible to make it easier for the beginners to understand what the basics are. Let's move forward and see what trading with charts looks like. First, we need to understand what is technical analysis. Technical analysis is a trading discipline employed to evaluate investments and identify trading opportunities by analyzing statistical trends gathered from trading activities such as price movement. So, in short, your technical analyst will look at previous historical price movement, and he will see how the behavior of the prices has happened over a period of time. It is always advisable to do a technical analysis with good enough amount of backtested data. Like, for example, if you have a stock that was just listed 3 days back, or 1 week back, or even 1 month back, the chances of you trying to do a technical analysis on a very recently listed stock would be very limited, because the data you'll have to be dealing is with will be only for a very short period of time. However, if you take a stock like Microsoft, which has been listed for more than 10 years, and you try and do a technical analysis on that, you will get much more insights in terms of the movement of Microsoft prices. You will also understand the behavior of the prices. You will also be able to understand and determine when the prices dropped and why the prices recovered. And of course, along with technical analysis, you should always have a little bit of fundamental analysis. Now, the difference between a technical analysis and a fundamental analysis is very simple. Fundamental analysis is, for example, if you're looking at the stock of Microsoft to invest into or to trade, you do understand the fundamentals of the company. You understand the products it produces, you understand the demand supply, you understand the revenue that the company generates, and you also understand the future prospect of the particular company. Now, after evaluating all the fundamentals of the company, you will come to a conclusion saying that Microsoft could be a good investment or a bad investment. Now, once you have decided on your fundamentals, the next challenge that you would face is at what price would be an accurate price to buy Microsoft if you decided the company is a good company to invest in. Now, technical analysis is the one which will help us to identify which area could be a good level or a reasonable price for us to enter and gain from it when the markets go back up. So let's dive a little more into technical analysis. One basic thing that I want you all to keep in mind throughout this session is the ATR. So ATR is average true range. For those of you all who do not know what ATR is, it's basically, in short, it helps you identify how many dollars or how many points can a particular instrument move in a single given period of time. So ATR helps you, again, let me repeat that. ATR helps you identify how many dollars or how many points can a particular instrument move at a given period of time. Now, let's say, for example, I'm looking at Microsoft. Now, looking at the ATR of Microsoft, and do not worry about how to find the ATR. It is there on your platform, and I will be showing the ATR live so that you can implement on your demo platforms as well. Or if you already have an account with us, you can start implementing ATR on your live accounts. So ATR, an example of ATR is when I look at Microsoft ATR for a daily candle time frame or for a daily time frame, I understand based on the ATR that Microsoft could move $4 to $5. Now ATR does the calculation for you, so you do not have to break your head by going to every single day to understand how many dollars can Microsoft move in today's time. Or let's say after the market opened today, how many dollars can you expect Microsoft to move? Disclaimer over here, ATR gives you how many dollars it can move, but it does not give you the direction of which direction Microsoft can move. So you cannot use ATR to take a directional trade, but however, you can use ATR to understand if at all you do take a trade, how many dollars you can expect it to move in your favor, or in certain cases, it can move even against your favor. Now let's look at a couple of examples on the chart. Don't worry, I will show you the same examples on live chart, but let's just have a look at this particular chart. It is SPX 500. So for those of you all are very new, SPX 500 is an index. It is not a stock, it is an index which consists of 500 stocks. So you have the top 500 companies clubbed into one index, hence the price is 3,924. Now, let's not get into the pricing of the index, but however, I would encourage you to go learn about the index. Why an index helps you is because, first of all, the market chooses the top 500 companies of US to be listed into this particular index. And if you are looking for a long-term trade or long-term investment perspective, and instead of you going and Googling out each and every 500 stock that you want to invest into, you can directly invest into the top 500 companies, the index. Now, again, the index has different stocks. It has all your major stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and the list goes on. But not all the stocks has been given the same weightage. So that may vary. If you have a specific requirement, like for example, if you want to have a portfolio where you want higher percentage on Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple, then probably SPX would not help you. You might have to make your own portfolio and buy each of these stocks individually. But if you do not want to buy the stocks individually and you just want to club it and buy all the 500 stocks, you might as well buy the index, which is just a one-time execution. And the market performance is pretty much the same as how all the 500 stocks together perform. And the best part about an index is you have diversified it amongst 500 different companies. I'll give you an example. Let's say for whatever reason, Apple drops today. And if you had a buy on Apple alone, you might see a significant drop. Whereas if you had a buy on SPX 500, you had another 449 stocks along with Apple. So although Apple gave a drop for the day, or probably Apple gave a big drop in the market, you will still probably see the other markets performing, and it will offset the loss of Apple. So that is what SPX 500 is. Now, diving into ATR, on top, what you see is the candlestick. And since I've chosen a 1 month time frame, you will see each candle represents the monthly time frame. If you do not understand candlesticks, do not worry about it. The most basic thing that you need to understand is each candle represents 1 month's move. So if you can see these two big red candles, these were two big drops that happened last year because of the pandemic. So hence you see these two big candles. So each candle represents a specific month's movement. So the candle body represents the movement of the price. Now, 1 month is the time frame I have chosen. At the bottom, if you can see the blue line over here, this blue line is the ATR. So what is ATR suggesting to me as of today? As of today, the ATR is telling me it can move about $276 in a given month. So for example, if the market for this month is at the bottom, it either could have dropped by $270 or it can go by $270. But again, $270 is not a cap that it cannot go beyond that. As in when the market prices increases its movement, probably even a $275 can increase to $350. Let's look at a time frame in 2018, between 2016 to 2018. You see SPX was moving in a very limited range. So you can see it was somewhere roughly around $120 move in a single month. But although it was moving $120 in a single month, but you also see SPX moving up gradually. So every month it had gone up roughly around $120. So that is what ATR helps you identify. Now coming to the weekly chart, the same chart of SPX, I've just changed the time frame to weekly. So weekly gives me how many dollars can it move in a single week. So it shows pretty much half of the month. But in a single week, we can expect it to move about $130. So if you plan to invest in SPX for a week's time, you can expect a $120 move. Now this is a daily time frame. If you can look at it, I've changed it to a daily time frame. On a daily time frame, SPX moves about $50 a day. So you can just break it down into smaller time frames and you see how many dollars it can move. I will also explain why I'm showing you different time frames and why we need to understand how many dollars the instrument can move. Yes. Now moving forward, let's look at what is Fibonacci. So this is where we go into a little more advanced on technical analysis. Now, few things that we have learned is there is a time frame that we are looking at, and every time frame you look at, you are looking at those time frames to look at a forecast as to, let's say if you are looking at a monthly time frame, you're mostly looking at an investment for anywhere between 3 to 6 months or a year, or sometimes it can be even 2 to 3 years. But when you're looking at a daily time frame, you're looking at probably a trade that you want to take advantage of today and exit it probably in the next couple of days. And if you look at a 30-minute time frame, you're trying to take advantage of the moment for the day and probably you want to exit out of the trade before today's session end. So that is why we look at different time frames. Although it was the same instrument, we looked at different time frames, and we also understand each time frame can give me only certain amount of returns. So on a monthly time frame, you can expect a return of $250. But if you look at a 30-minute time frame, the maximum you can expect on a 30-minute time frame, as we had seen on the chart over here, is maximum $5. So that means $5 is what max you can expect. Of course, if there is volatility increase, it can go up to $8. Or on the 20th of March or 19th of March, it actually went up even by $12. So on a 30-minute time frame, we cannot expect to make $100 or expect SPX to move $100. It is possible in case there is a major event that happens at that point of time, and that could happen probably once or twice in a year. So the possibility of moving $100 is there, but realistically, we can expect maximum $5 to $8 every 30 minutes. Now, how does Fibonacci help us? So let's first understand what is Fibonacci. So Fibonacci is a series of numbers which starts with 0 and 1. So if you add your 0 plus 1, you get your third number, that is 1 again. If you add 1 plus 1, you get 2. You add 1 plus 2, you get 3. 2 plus 3, 5. 3 plus 5, 8. 5 plus 8, 13. And it goes on to infinite. So this is known as the Fibonacci series of numbers. Now, why is Fibonacci series numbers important for us, or why is Fibonacci numbers even important at all? So let's look at a couple of facts on Fibonacci. So Fibonacci sequence, also known as a golden ratio, appears a lot in nature. Patterns such as spirals of shells, curve of waves, sea heads, pine cones, branches of trees can all be described using a mathematical sequence. And the mathematical sequence that they're talking about is the Fibonacci numbers or the ratios, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. The fact that things as large as spirals of galaxy and as small as a DNA molecule follow the golden ratio rule suggests that Fibonacci sequence is one of the most fundamental characteristics of the entire universe. So what we've learned about Fibonacci is, I also encourage you all to go and do more research on Fibonacci for yourself. It is very, very interesting. But then in short, what we understand is everything that we see in life has a Fibonacci series attached to it. It's either the series of numbers, or it can also be in the series of ratios. But there is a significant part of Fibonacci that appears everywhere in life. Now, a couple of examples that you can see over here on the left hand side, you see a geometrical representation. It's basically they made squares for each of the numbers. So if you can see on the tiniest part, it's 1 plus 1, you get 2, and 2 plus 3, you get this 5 square, 5 plus 8, you get this 13, 13 plus 21, you get 34. And you can see how these boxes pretty much align itself in a ratio. So because the boxes is going in a spiral and expanding itself, hence the curve also is designed to see the expansion of the curves. Now, how is the curve joined? If you just connect every corners from the rightmost bottom point to the leftmost topmost point, you get a curve on, you can see it on number 8 or on 13, and over here you see it on 21. So, and this forms a spiral, and this spiral can go to infinite. Now, Fibonacci appearing in trees. This is some experiment that you can, if you'll have a garden at home or if you'll have plants at home, you can do an experiment. You can take a plant and just try and count the number of leaves each of the branches have. So if there is a small branch on a smaller plant, try and do it on a smaller plant, because we can finish counting it for the day. Most likely, you will see the leaves will end with one of these numbers. If the branch is quite long, probably you might see a leaf structure of 5 to 8. Like just in case old leaf has just dropped away and you're missing one leaf, you'll always see a new leaf shooting up. But then you can do this experiment at home and you will see even the plants are structured in a certain way. And if you can look at this diagram of the tree, the numbers or the branches has expanded according to Fibonacci ratios. Only reason being, the tree needs to be structured in such a way where every part of the leaf on the tree can receive sunlight, and this is possible only if it forms in a certain geometrical or in certain format or in a certain ratio. So that is how these trees get to have sunlight for all of the leaves on the particular tree. And you see even the Fibonacci numbers over here helps the trees form into a good base. So you can see the bottommost point of the tree is one large trunk, and then it splits into two, and those two split into three, and then those three split into five, and it goes on. So probably this is something, if you all have time, you can look at a tree and try and find the Fibonacci numbers on that. And to get more geometrical, you have a sunflower which also has the spirals within it, and this is a little more challenging for you to identify, but then you get the idea. Now, where else do we see the spiral? Our universe itself. So our own universe is in a form of a spiral. So if you can put a geometrical representation of Fibonacci on this using computer algorithms, even these fall pretty much under the Fibonacci ratio that we had just recently seen on the geometrical side of it. So even our own universe has the gold has Fibonacci numbers in it. So now coming or moving forward is to the golden ratio. Now let me, I hope most of you will have your mobile with you. If you have logged in from your mobile, that is completely fine. If you all can just access a calculator quickly, it would help you to understand how we derive the golden ratio. Now, before we do the calculations manually, let me explain what golden ratio is. Fibonacci golden ratio is 61.8, And how did this golden ratio appear? So if you can see the calculation of Fibonacci at the bottom over here, it says 61.8 is found by dividing one number in the series. So you can take any number from the series and you divide it by the very next number that follows it. For example, after 8 came 13. So that is 5 plus 8, you got 13. So if you multiply it, you get 61.8, 0.6153 into 100. And if you go further ahead, you get 55 and 89. So let me just take you back to the number slide. Yeah. So if you all can see the numbers here, 55 and 89. So you can take any of the first number, divide it by the second number, and you multiply it by 100, and you should get 61.8. So let's do this. Let's take a couple of minutes, and in the next few minutes, I would request you all to try any of the series. You don't have to do 55 divided by 89 into 100. You can also do a higher number. You can do probably 196, 418 divided by 317811 into 100, and please post your answers on the chat. So I'm just giving you 2 minutes for everyone to calculate and put their answers, and then we'll resume the session forward. Hi. So I can see most of you all have tried the 61.8, and you can see 61.8 being derived from these numbers. So hence 61.8 is known as the golden ratio. Now moving forward, I will show you how, why did I take this time to elaborate about 61.8 or about Fibonacci is, if Fibonacci and the golden ratio pretty much appears everywhere that we can see in life, how about the charts? Can we see the same thing on our charts? Yes, we can. So this is Apple. If you can see from 2014, Apple has given a rise. I will just give you another very simple example before we go ahead or move forward into Fibonacci. One more experiment that you can do at home is if you measure the length of your hand. So you can take the measurement all the way from your shoulder bone till the finger of your tip. And if your hand is a certain amount of centimeters, so that should be your 100%, and just calculate what is 61.8% of your entire length, and you will find out that your elbow pretty much comes down from your finger till your elbow. You will notice is 61.8% of length compared to the rest of your arm. Why am I telling you this is because your elbow acts as a pivot, and your hand is designed in such a way to carry things, and the only way it is easy for us to carry stuff is when we have a little longer forearm with your fingers and your fist. So if you notice, even the human body has been designed with these ratios. You can Google a lot on human bodies. You have 5 fingers on each hand. So each finger, 5 is again a Fibonacci numbers, and each finger you can see there is a division of 3, and 3 again is a Fibonacci number. So there are a lot of things that you can find. But why I gave you this example is now we understand Fibonacci is important, and it is also there in the human anatomy. Now let's look at the second level of example that I want to give. So if I have to take my entire height, that is my head to my toe, my hip happens to be at 61.8% of my entire height. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. You can again try this at home and see if what I'm saying actually works out. It might not be exactly precisely 61.8. It can be few decimals up and down. But then you get the idea of what I'm trying to portray. Now, if you look at this chart on the screen, Apple, let's take this rally that you see. So when you measure Fibonacci, you're always measuring a specific momentum. You see a significant momentum, and I can take even the most bottommost point, but I see a significant momentum beginning from here. That was in 2014, and it went up non-stop. Probably there was a little bit of downside here, but then apart from that, you see an upward swing till 2015, where it decides to drop. And if you notice, it took a U-turn. It started coming back down. So how do I use Fibonacci? I choose my bottommost point. It is there in your draw tools. I will show you how to use it on the live chart. It is, you choose the bottommost point that you want to measure to the topmost point that you want to measure. So bottom to top, and then you see as the market is dropping, you surpass few levels on Fibonacci. So the first level you see is 23.6, then you see 38.2, and then you see 50%, and then you see 61.8. Now, where did these other numbers come from? Very simple. How did we get 61.8? You took your first number and divided by the second number in the Fibonacci series. For you to get 38.2, you take the first number and you divide the third number in the series. And for 23.6, you take the first number and you divide the fourth number, and you should get these ratios. Why is 50%? Why did I skip 50%? 50% is not a Fibonacci number, but 50% is something significant in terms of market movement, and hence they do include 50%. And there is also 78.6 and 88.6. Will not get into full detail calculation. Today we are going to be focusing only on 61.8. And we notice that the market started dropping in 2015. It comes to some point over here. So that means it came all the way from 33 to $22, and it bounces back up from exactly here. You all can go and do this on your own chart also to see if this works out as I'm showing you. And miraculously, it has taken support from 22 and bounced back up. So what was at 22 that the market decided to bounce back from these levels? So if you go back to your Fibonacci ratio, you see it was at 61.8. Again, a disclaimer, not every time it comes to 61.8, the market tends to reverse. There are days where it can go even beyond 61.8 and it will go below that. And that also I will be showing you all in the future in the live charts. Now let's go to, so what we were looking at was 2015 and 2016. Now the next chart is what we are looking from 2016. So we see in this previous chart, 2016 was the bottom and then it made a new high. So I'm just showing you the same again at 2000. Sorry, I'm showing you the same again from 2016 bottom, what we saw where we entered, and market went up 2017, 2018, and somewhere in the middle of 2018, the market decides to drop again. Now, if you noticed, I'm not giving any fundamental reasons for the market drop or fundamental reasons for the market to go up, because we all know fundamentally Apple is a good stock that you can buy and hold in your portfolio. So fundamental analysis is already done. Now we are looking at technical analysis. Now out of nowhere, the market drops again. It decides, it surpasses all these levels and it decides to take support from a certain level. Again, it had gone up till 57, roughly around 60. It came down all the way to 35 or 36 and bounced back up. Now, if you go back and see, again, it is at 61.8. So I had measured the bottommost point to the highest most point and it takes support at 61.8, and the pattern continues for Apple. I will show this to you all on the live chat. This happened again in 2020 where Apple dropped because of the pandemic, and then now Apple is right at the top. So that is how we are going to use Fibonacci to understand when should we be entering the markets and when we should not be entering the markets. And of course, using Fibonacci, I will also show you how to keep stop losses and how to keep take profit, and what is a reasonable stop loss and what is a reasonable take profit. Now, if we have time, we can get into harmonic patterns, but I will not jump into harmonic patterns. It might get too complex, but I'll just tell you what harmonic patterns are. Moving forward to the chart that you can see over here. Okay, there was a person by the name of Gartley who identified these patterns. So Gartley was someone who was looking at Fibonacci levels only on instruments and mainly currencies, and he identified few patterns that recur every single time. So when he understood these patterns are recurring over a period of time, and as he backtested each of these patterns, they ended up giving him or helping him solve a question as to what and when to buy or sell. So the biggest question everyone wants to know is when to enter and when to exit. It helped him solve his problems as to when to enter and when to exit. Now, why is when to enter and when to exit a very crucial thing? Reason, I will give you a very simple example. You take a buy or in the market, you invest into the market, and you're expecting a return of 10% and you put a stop loss of 3%. So that means if the market goes against you, you're going to lose 3%. But if the market goes in your favor, you're going to make 10%. 99.5% of traders do not wait to make the entire 10%. What happens is after they enter, the minute they see 2 to 3% profit, they book the profit and expects the market to come back to the same entry price to re-enter again. And most of the time that would not be the case, where the market might continue to go up, and then they end up buying at the higher price, and then market might drop, and then it just becomes a mess. So that's why it is very important to understand when to enter and when to exit. And exit should be set while you before even before you enter. And an investment should not be touched, or a trade should not be touched until it achieves either of the targets, your either the stop loss or your take profit. Of course, you have any additional information beforehand which can help you take a decision to close your position earlier, then of course you may go ahead and do so. But if you're a technical trader, and for a technical trader to be completely successful, needs to follow all the rules that the technicals also have. You always have a logical entry point, and you also have a logical exit point, and you just wait for the trade to make you the returns, or for whatever cases it starts going against you, it goes to the expected stop loss and it does not go beyond that loss. Now, harmonic pattern looks a little fancy, but don't worry about why it looks so fancy. But the idea is, uh, according to Gartley, if on Fibonacci, if you can see 61.8 over here, you can see 38.2 and 88.6 and 78.6. So basically, the X point is where the rally started on this particular pattern. So you see market rallies and then it drops. So what they do is you measure X to A, and if B forms at 61.8, that means you have a pattern that is in formation, but it is not yet a completed pattern. Only B has formed. Then you measure your A to B with your Fibonacci, and it has to go back either to 38.2 or 88.6, or it can be between these two, and between these two is again 61.8. So if even C is achieved, then you can always expect the market to come back and achieve the D point. So if all of these levels achieve on Fibonacci as accurately as possible, best is it needs to be on these Fibonacci levels as accurate as possible. Then the probability of the market resuming is upside. So it is known as bullish Gartley. You refer to a bull market when the market is going up. So what happens in this trade is, according to Gartley, you do not enter at X, you do not enter at A, you do not enter at B, you do not enter at C. But if X, A, B, C, D forms, then you enter at D, because the probability of this going in your favor is going to be much more higher as long as all of these conditions are met. And I will try and show you an example on this also. And very truly, this does work on a good 4 hour or 1 day time frame. But the drawback about this pattern is it does not form every day. So every time it does form, that is one time opportunity. Probably there are times where you get 2 to 3 opportunities in a day, sorry, in a month, or sometimes no opportunities at all if the market is very flat and it's not giving you good momentum. Now let me move to the live chart. Before we move to the live chart, do you all have any specific questions that I can take my time for the next 2 minutes to answer? Do you all have any doubts? Or probably once I do the session again at the end of the session, if you all have any doubts, I'll be able to answer your questions. So please keep posting your questions on the chat. Let me just share the screen again with you with the live chart. All right. So some of you all are asking how to draw Fibonacci, how to see the ATR on the charts. All right. There's a question as per my chart. Show on the platform only the candlestick. Okay, sure. So let's go to the live chart. I hope all of you all can see my live chart. How do you track a bullish Gartley? There are tools that you can use to track a bullish Gartley, but then the best way to do it is manually, and it takes a lot of time to keep monitoring the moment. And usually, the people who sit and watch the market the entire day, they'll be able to identify a pattern even without drawing the pattern because they're so used to watching the candlestick movement. So you will have an expert out there, or each of you will actually get a consultant when you have your own account, and you can ask your consultant to give you the patterns and tell you when a pattern is formed, so that way you don't have to do the hard work of finding the pattern, but the consultant does it for you. And once you see the platform, you can draw it on your charts, and then you can take a investment decision. Let me go to the chart and implement everything that I've just showed you. So again, we are looking at over here, we're looking at SPX. Let me just go to Apple. So Apple would give much more good information, and we'll also try Fibonacci on some of the instruments that you all want to suggest, because Fibonacci, although it looks nice on Apple chart, it does not work on every single chart. So that is another challenge that we all need to identify, saying like for example, if SPX always takes support on 61.8, that is the golden ratio, I have noticed with my experience, Nasdaq does not do the same. So Nasdaq is the top tech sector. So Nasdaq always breaches 61.8, but I've noticed that Nasdaq always takes support on 78.6. So what happens is, as in when you start using your Fibonacci, you also get familiar with the instrument, and each instrument has its own uniqueness. There are certain, like Apple respects 61.8 for some reason, but there might be a couple of stocks that does not respect 61.8. But however, all the major instruments like Apple, like gold, you can take any of the major instruments and you will see 61.8, which plays as a very crucial part in it. But if you take a stock like Tesla, you take a stock like Neo, you take Bitcoin, for example, these are price movement which do not respect too much of technicals, although you can use technicals to make an investment decision, but it still does not respect levels. But however, even if it does not respect levels, what happens with Fibonacci is it always sets your entry point, and it also helps you set your stop loss and take profit. Now let me go to the bottom. So this is your chart. For those of you who are using the platform for the very first time, I just typed in search over here. I clicked on Apple, so my Apple chart has opened. I'm looking at a monthly time frame, so hence you can see all the way from 2009. Let me increase my font so it will be easier for each one of you all to see. Okay, so you can see from 2009, I am looking at Apple chart all the way from 2009 till date. Now, most of you all, when you open your chart, it will have your regular candlestick. So this is your regular candlestick, which has the open, high, low, close. For those of you all who do not understand candlesticks, do not worry about it. We are not looking at candlestick for the day. I specifically use something known as Heikinashi. Heikinashi basically gives me trend. So now if you can just look at this particular area, let me mark that out for you to make it easier. Just look at these. You will see there is green candle, then there's one red candle in between, there's another green, another red candle here, then market goes up, there's another small red here, another small red here. So basically this shows me trend visually, but my Heikanakshi basically follows the trend. So now if you can see, yes, there are these two small red candles. That means it was turning bearish. It was expecting it to go back down, but then it continued the bullish momentum. And you will very easily identify where there is a upward momentum and when there is a downward momentum. And over here, if you can notice, again there was an upward momentum, looked like it was going to go down, but then it still continued up, and then these three candlesticks had given a drop. Now this Heikanakshi is something that I preferably use. You all can do the same thing if you're trying to identify trend. This is the best candlestick that you can use for trend. Let's not get into how Heikanakshi has been calculated. That will take a lot of time. Our session for today is on Fibonacci, so we'll stick to Fibonacci. Now, first is what I thought you was the ATR. You go to your technicals. In your technicals, you have a lot of technicals. There are overlays. So overlays are basically your moving averages, and you have n number of moving averages and pivot points and Bollinger Bands that you can implement. And your studies are more detailed, though mostly it is oscillators like RSI. Now again, we are not doing RSI. What we had discussed was ATR, so I will just choose ATR at the bottom. So if you all can see, I hope all of you all can see me and hear me. Okay, I think you can see my screen, so I'll just continue. I can see that you all can see me. All right. So now that you see the ATR is the first option. The only reason it came as the first option because I just used it a little while back. So the instrument that you use more often usually tends to be right at the beginning. If you cannot find, you can always just search in your type over here, search button, you get ATR. I clicked on ATR. All right, now my ATR is showing me that Apple, I'm looking at Apple on a monthly chart. So how much can Apple move in a single month? Roughly about $14 is what it is showing me. So that is your ATR. We'll come back to ATR now that you know how to apply ATR. I will show you how to use ATR to trade later. Draw tools. Now, what did if you all can remember, how do we draw Fibonacci? We are going to identify a good rally. So when you identify a good rally, you're going to choose the bottommost point to the highest point to measure the length. So when I'm talking to you about length, now please remember the height I was talking to you about. So my height is a certain amount of centimeters. Like I told you, my hip comes roughly somewhere close to 61.8% of my entire 100% height. So all these rally that you see on the upside is a body or a height that you can see, and everywhere it comes down and takes support and goes back up becomes the hip of this entire rally. So let's look at one specific rally. This is the same rally that I showed you on the presentation. Let me just zoom this in for you so that I'm just going to zoom it from here to here. Okay, that just blew out quite bad. Okay, let's just focus on this. We are going to be looking at this, the rally between 2019 to end of 2019 where we saw this drop. Now I'm going to choose my Fibonacci in my draw tools. You find Fibonacci in your draw tools at the bottom, and you have Fibonacci here. How do you draw Fibonacci? You click on the selection, you click the bottommost point of the rally and to the topmost point of the rally. Like I said, you can also take the bottommost point from here, but I prefer to always see where the rally began. But either ways, it is all right to do that. So, but most likely, most people who use Fibonacci will choose the most bottom point to the most highest point. In this case, this and we need to be very accurate in terms of measuring the most bottom and the most high, because that is when you get your exact levels. So I'm trying to do it as accurately as possible. So if you can see, this is touching right at the bottom and this is touching right at the top. So market rallied and it gave a drop. So where did it give my drop to? Again, it came back from 81, it dropped till 53. So this was 2020 drop. This was the pandemic drop. So you notice, although it was a pandemic drop, it still respected the level of 61.8 and bounced back up. So now the questions that you may all have is, why is 61.8 working over here? So there are two, three explanations that I could give. Not It's not just I who know Fibonacci. Probably you already knew about Fibonacci before, and there are a lot of technical traders in this world who know about Fibonacci, and there are a lot of algorithm traders who trade in this world who can use Fibonacci to do their algorithm trades. So that means it's already pre-programmed in a computer system. So every time market drops by 61.8% on their criteria, it takes a buy order. And most even more fundamental reason why someone would buy at these prices is, now what we need to understand is Apple is a very good company or a stock that we can hold on for the next 5 years at least, from my opinion. So if Apple is a good level to buy, let's look at today's price of Apple. Today it's trading at 121. So I know Apple is a good company to buy and hold for the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe even for the next 1 year. But because the Apple is trading right at the top, I am not going to take an investment decision today. I will wait for it to drop down to a certain level before I buy. So these are levels that even fund managers look at to see when they can enter into Apple again, or when they can increase their exposure in their Apple. So when you park your money with fund managers or mutual funds or anyone who is tracking Apple, you would always notice, or if they disclose it to you, or if you can ask them, you'll always notice they enter into certain specific instruments only at a certain period of time. Reason being, Apple, if you notice, every time it drops to a certain percentage and it goes up. I'll get to that also to show you how that works. But just to understand how Fibonacci works, it is giving you a good signal to enter. And you noticed every time Apple gives a drop, it makes a new high. So in this case, it gave a drop here. So this would have come roughly to 61.8. It rallied back up, and then this was a new high it made, right? So when you're booking profit, you can always measure how many dollars you want to keep your take profit, or how much percentage on the upside you want to keep your take profit. And when you measure when you want to enter, like for example, let's say I'm going to choose price over here. This shows me I can choose the topmost point to the bottommost point of where the market had dropped, and you notice this has dropped by 33%. Let me do that for all the drops and see if you can find a similarity. Let's take this point to this point. So this has dropped around 44%. This was in 2012. 2012, there was a big drop in tech either ways. This was in 2019 February. This has dropped roughly around 38%. This was the pandemic drop last year, 2020. And this has roughly dropped around 35 to 34%. Now, if you take an average of all these four drops that you see on Apple, you see Apple always tends to become a good buy every time it drops more than 30%. So that is one good enough reason why fund managers or investors try to jump back into Apple. Now, apart from these analysis, we also understand every time you draw Fibonacci. Let me draw Fibonacci on this rally here, from here to here. Let me expand this for you. Okay, so the rally began from this candlestick and it ended somewhere here. So now if you notice in this, the market dropped, came back to 61.8, and it has bounced back up. Now, once it bounced back up, then let's assume that somebody bought over here, and I will show you how to keep stop loss and take profit. We are just looking at entry point for now. We are not looking at exits, not exits on profit, no exits on losses. We are just looking at entry points. Now this was the next rally that happened. If you see, again market came down, so whoever did not invest in 2015, this was a good opportunity for them in 2019. Now from here again the market rallied back up. Whoever did not invest in 2018, they got an opportunity in 2020 when the market crashed. And that's why you see from 2020, after the market had crashed, the market has rallied quite a bit. Why? Because everyone who had money at that point of time knew this was a good opportunity. So if you have been following the markets for a very long time, you'll know this. There are 2 to 3 types of drops in the market. One is a healthy correction, which comes roughly around, depending on market to market, I'm just giving you an average correction. An average correction on a daily basis could look somewhere between 3 to 5%. But a heavier correction will be anywhere between 8 to 15%. Or if there is a situation like a pandemic or a geopolitical issue, you can expect the market to drop between 20 to 30%. And if there is a recession, you can expect the market to drop anywhere above 50%. So now we understand there are these 4 5 different types of drops, and we also need to understand at what point of cycle are we in today's market. We understand that there is stimulus that is being pumped into the market, so we are not heading towards a recession because the stimulus is helping the economy to continue going. All the companies right now are still able to retain some of their employees, or people who do not have jobs are getting some benefits in US, so that they can still continue their spending. So there is more spending. So it does not look like it's going to head into a recession. So expecting a 50% drop as of today would not be, I mean, it is too far fetched. But of course, we can never say anything could turn around, because 2008, when the housing bubble crashed, nobody had time to think. So, but what can I tell as of today? Okay, we understand all this happened in the past, and coincidentally everything is taking support from 61.8 and going back up. But what is my opinion today? I would say, if you're a long term investor, you draw your Fibonacci again from the bottommost point to the highest most point. So if you notice, this is in January 2021. January was positive, February was positive, March is kind of negative. So I'm not going to take any investment decision on a monthly chart on Apple as of today. What I would wait for is for Apple to drop to 61.8. That is all the way from, let me draw this accurately as possible to get the prices right. Okay. So I've chosen exactly the bottommost level to the highest level. So I'm waiting for it to come somewhere close to 88 before I take a investment decision. I'm not talking about trading. We apply the same formula on a 30-minute chart. But let's just understand on a cleaner chart so that there's no confusion when we see too many ups and downs. Right now, we see if it comes down to $88, it is a good level to buy. Now let me see the percentage drop from the peak. So again, I'm going to my price in the draw tools. I'm choosing the topmost point that Apple has ever made, and I'm going to bring my percentage all the way down till 61.8. And what is my 61.8 showing? That if Apple drops or gives you a drop of 38%, it is a good level to buy. So basically, Fibonacci didn't have to show me this. The history of Apple, that is the technical analysis, has showed me, studying the previous history or historical moments, has showed me that every time Apple drops from the peak and it comes down by 31, 38, 40%, it is time for me to buy Apple. So if you're a long-term investor and if you ask me, Vivian, should I buy Apple today? My answer would be no. But my answer would not be completely no as well. There are chances that Apple can maybe from here go up till 180 and then from there drop by 30%. That is a possibility also. So how would someone invest or take a decision for long term now? I will show you that in a little bit. But now we understood our entry point. Any questions on the entry point or the Fibonacci before I move forward? Sarfaraj has already asked me, can we use Fibonacci on daily chart? Of course, we can use on daily chart. We can use it on 5 minutes also. Thank you for the question. Since you've already asked about daily chart, let me go into a daily chart. So I'm changing Apple to a daily chart. So this is my daily chart. Now, why I did not initially show with the daily chart is because it has too many ups and downs. But let's look at a couple of good significant moves. Now I see there was a rally that happened here. There was a rally that happened here. Okay, but then there was no drop. There was no big drop. So that means I did not get an opportunity there. Then I see again after a consolidation phase, the rally picked up again. So let me measure this upside on Fibonacci. I'm going to choose Fibonacci from the draw tools. I'm going to choose the bottommost point to the topmost point. See, on a daily chart, it went up and the market dropped. It came roughly close to 61.8 and bounced back up again. Now the question is, okay, we understand when to buy, but when do I book profit? Let's do the reverse of whatever I've been teaching you so far. I'm telling you, let's measure bottom to top. How about measuring top to bottom? Let's measure from top to bottom. Right, so if you measure your top to bottom, now I'm not measuring the height of going up, I'm measuring the height of going down. So if you notice, market crashed, it went back to some level and it dropped again. And what was this level again? It was 61.8. Then you can again measure the upside, top to bottom, bottom to top. Market came down to 61.8, bounced back up. Now again you do top to bottom. You'll see it went back up to 61.8, crashed again. Now bottom to top, it came back down to 61.8, went back up again. So now you see a pattern that is happening. Now, like I told you, not every time it touches 61.8, it has to come back. In this case, it has gone beyond that. And that is why we need stop losses. Not every 61.8 is going to be a profitable trade. But if we know how to keep stop losses and take profit, most of your 61.8 is going to be profitable, and of course there are a few that is going to hit your stop loss, but the idea is your loss should always be smaller compared to your take profit. And this cycle basically goes on. See, in this case it did not drop much, but overall this rally has given a drop around 61.8 and it's still not picked up yet after that. So looks like the market is going to go down further. So this is on daily chart. Let's try this on 5-minute chart. Okay, this is my 5-minute chart. I see one big upside move and a big downside move over here. Okay, on a 5-minute chart, let me just take the bottommost point here and to the highest most point. So I've taken a 5-minute chart. I'm looking at 19th of February at 11 o'clock in the night. Each candlestick represents 5 minutes, so that's why we have so many candlesticks. Okay, if you notice, the market has come to 61.8 here and it is trying to bounce back up. Can I do Fibonacci even on the smallest time frame? I can. So I can even do Fibonacci here. This top to this bottom, it took resistance at 61.8, it has come down. Now bottom to top, it is taking support at 61.8, it is trying to go back up. So we started off from monthly chart and we've come all the way till 5-minute chart. So you see, Fibonacci helps you understand when to enter. We have already completed 1 hour, so I'm overshooting. So I will take the next 5 to 10 minutes to show you. Now I hope and trust that each one of you all have understood when to enter or how to use Fibonacci. That is the most important thing. And how to interpret Fibonacci. You always identify a good rally and then you measure the rally to see where 61 point comes, or you identify a good drop and you measure the drop to see where the 61.8 comes. So we've understood that. Now let me just give you an example on this 5-minute chart. Of course, nobody can trade on a 5-minute chart, but for the sake of example, let me just show you this, or let me just show it to you on a 30-minute chart. That would be much more easier. On a 30-minute time frame, we understand Apple is at 61.8. So what would a investor, sorry, at this point of time, since I'm looking at a 30-minute chart, I'm not looking at investment. I'm looking at trading to take opportunity of the move for the next 30 to probably 4 hours, 30 minutes to 4 hours. Probably it might take about 3-4 candlesticks for it to go back up. So hence I'm saying 4 hours. But I'm looking at a 30-minute time frame to make a small gain here. Now let's use ATR. Let's come back to ATR. So my ATR is suggesting in 30-minute time frame, Apple can move only 67 cents. Okay, so I will give you a demonstration. Let's say I have $10,000 in my account. Okay, I am going to invest $10,000. Now, why would I invest my entire amount? Because I'm going to keep a stop loss. If I'm not going to keep a stop loss, probably on Apple, I might just buy $500 worth of Apple. And if you buy $500 worth of Apple, it will hardly make you any profit. So your quantity and your investment value also depends on your objective. If your objective is short term and you have a well defined stop loss, take a trade even worth $100,000. That is okay, but as long as you have a stop loss and you understand the risk that you're taking. So now let's just keep $10,000. I'm not going to take any leverage. I'm just going to use what I have in the bank account, or sorry, in the account value. Now, like I told you, there were other values like 78.6 and 88.6. So usually these levels are always there by default. I had removed it so that it does not get confusing. So you can either have 78.6 or 88.6. Ideally, I keep at 78.6 and 88.6. Let me make that so that you all can see. Let me just bring down the ATR so it is out of our way. Yeah. So now you can see it is taking support at 61.8. So I'm going to be buying at current price. Okay. Or let me make it a limit order. So, the blue line that you can see over here is your buy price. Now, where am I going to keep my stop loss? My stop loss has to be exactly at the next Fibonacci level, that is 78.6. Now, my stop loss is well defined. Now, no matter what happens, even if it starts coming down, I am not going to move my stop loss. I'm going to keep my stop loss as it is. So this is the first discipline of trading on 61.8. And where am I going to keep my take profit? Now I'll measure top to bottom, right? Top to bottom. And I will keep my take profit back upside towards the 61.8 that you see for measuring top to bottom. Okay, now you used your Fibonacci to enter. You understand this was 61.8, this was 78.6. Then top to bottom, this is 61.8 again. Now, if I invest $10,000 today, if it goes against me, I'm going to lose $62. If it goes in my favor, I make $125. So I'm risking $60 to make almost $120. So that is 1:2 risk reward ratio. So now with the help of Fibonacci, it has helped me identify a good trade and a good risk reward trade without me having to break my head about anything else. So this is why technicals help people to identify when to enter and how to enter. Now the most common mistake people do, they see Fibonacci probably on a daily chart, okay, and then they try to take a decision on a 30-minute chart. That should never be the case. If your investment objective is to gain in the next couple of hours, then you look at a 30-minute time frame. Of course, look at a 4-hour time frame to understand the overall trend of the market. It is always better to come from a daily chart to see what is happening in Apple. On daily chart, it shows that Apple is in a very small range bound movement. So that means the maximum I can see is Apple goes up a couple of dollars, comes down a couple of dollars. So now I have that view on a daily chart. Now when I go on a 30-minute chart, now I understand, okay, Apple is going to move couple of dollars up, couple of dollars down. And of course, you can always use your ATR also to keep your stop losses and take profit. I'll give you an example on ATR, maybe on a faster moving index. I'm going to open NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is the top 100 tech companies of US. Why am I opening NASDAQ? Because it gives us a good, oh, sorry, this is natural gas. It gives us good moment every, surprisingly, NASDAQ is not coming. All right. So here's NASDAQ. So I have daily chart. Let me just come from monthly chart. So in a month, NASDAQ moves about $500, as you can see at the bottom of the chart. All right. In a single day, NASDAQ moves about $92. So as of today, it is moving about $92. But like back then, like in 2000, like when this crash happened in 2020 March and April, the movement of Nasdaq was quite violent. Sorry, this is not Nasdaq. Um, yeah, here's Nasdaq. Yes. So coming back to our daily chart. So going back to 2020, you can see the spike over here. The moment was almost $500 a day. Right now, the moment has reduced as of today to $320. So now we are looking at a 1 day chart where the movement is roughly around $320. So that means we can expect for a single day Nasdaq to move $300. Now, if I'm looking at a 30-minute time frame, I understand Nasdaq moves $300, and in 30 minutes on a daily chart, in 30 minutes it can move about $40. So when I take a trade decision, let's say for example, I take a buy. Let's just assume this was 61.8. I am just giving you an assumption on entry point. There is no entry point. I'm just giving you this as an example. So I'm going to be investing $10,000. So how do I place my take profit if I do not have Fibonacci? Is you take twice or thrice your stop loss, or sorry, twice or thrice your ATR. So right now my current ATR is $40. So I will keep probably 40 into 2, 80, or 40 into 3, $120 as my stop loss. So that is, if it goes against me, I will take a hit of 120 points. But if it goes in my favor, I can make a gain of 120 points, or you can have higher also, depending on the moment of Nasdaq. Like I told you, Nasdaq moves about $300 a day. So I'm just aiming for 50% of that. And on a 10,000 unit exposure, your profit will be roughly around $90. Your loss also will be roughly around $90. And this is where ATR helps you make a decision in terms of how many dollars you should be keeping stop loss and take profit. I know most of you will have this question saying, Vivian, if in half an hour Nasdaq is going to move $40, why have you kept $140? Reason being, let me keep a $40 stop loss. Okay, can you see the stop loss compared to the entry price? The blue line is the entry price, and this is the stop loss. Now, if you keep a $40 stop loss, the chances of the stop loss triggering, maybe it will go up in your favor. Your direction was right, but your stop loss will trigger here, and then it will go up in your favor. By then, you're already out of the market. So rather than that, it's always advisable or best to always keep 2 to 3 times your ATR. So same thing if you're going to take a trade on a daily chart. Okay, now we understand on a daily chart, I am expecting Nasdaq to move about $320. So that means I need to have at least minimum 600 points as stop loss if it goes against me. Okay, because on a daily chart it can move as violent as that, and you can also expect about 600 points in your favor. So in a day it might move only $320. But like I told you, if you're looking at a daily chart, you're expecting your return to come within 3 to 4 days. So in 4 days, market can move quite high. It can move easily about $1,000. So it can move in your favor by $1,000. Also, it can move against you by $1,000. However, this was just for demonstration. There is no entry point on Nasdaq as of now, at least on a daily chart. But if you look at a 30-minute chart, you'll find couple of entries. So you see on a 30-minute chart, or let me make it an hourly chart. So we see over here that Nasdaq has rallied up quite well from these levels. So this is where the rally began, and it is taking support at 61.8 over here roughly. So on a 30-minute chart, this price would have been a good level to enter. Right now, it has already come up by almost $60. So that is the thing with Nasdaq. Nasdaq moves very quickly on a 30-minute time frame. So if you're not very well versed with Nasdaq, take time to understand before you invest. But if you want a slow moving instrument, you can always go for gold. You can always go for crude oil. You can also go for a couple of stocks like maybe Microsoft, Apple. These are stocks that move just about $1 or $2 on a day. Yeah. So I've already overshot the time. Thank you all again for your patience. I hope I've covered most of the basics so that you all can understand why we should have a good strategy before you enter. And we've understood that Fibonacci is one of the indicators that helps you understand what is a good point to enter. Now, there are many technicals. You can always have double, triple confirmation before you take a decision. But Fibonacci is one of them, and Fibonacci is the only instrument that is known to give you a leading signal. That means Fibonacci is the only instrument or only technical that is used to identify a price movement well before it happens, and once it happens is where you take your entry decision. And again, using Fibonacci, you understood how to keep your stop loss and how to keep your take profit. Now, what I would recommend each one of you all is to implement these, and do not take trades on it. Please consult your advisor and speak to them and try and understand, try and do more studies on Fibonacci and how to implement this into your trading strategies, and how to implement this to meet your investment objectives. And then you may go ahead and do it. And if you all want further training, and if you all want further explanation, you all can always get in touch with your respective consultants, and they would probably sit with you one on one and teach you much more in detail. I hope the session was easy for each one of you all to understand. I would recommend please drop in a comment. Please give me a feedback if it is okay with each one of you all, so that I can improvise on my teaching techniques as well in the future. And also, please do write in your comments what else would you like to learn. And you can also give us a review directly on Google. It's century.ae. You can always go there on Google and give us a review and give your feedback there, or you can give your feedback to your respective relationship managers if you all have already got in touch with them to understand, or if you all have any other questions, and if you all want me to do or cover any other topics. I hope all of you all had a good time learning the technical session today, especially on Fibonacci. Have a very good evening. Thank you again for your patience, and see you all again soon. Take care. God bless.